Yeah, nice. Hey guys, what's going on? Massivebeatzz here with the SSL 4000B. And we talked about metering calibration earlier, but now we're getting to the real big news of this SSL update. Yeah, so SSL really did us something very special here by giving us another channel strip. And it's got tons and tons of color. That Jensen transformer mic presetting, and also that DBX black channel. We're gonna get to it in a second. Really enjoyed doing this little track for you guys. Put it together specifically for this. So we can talk about this while we have those three channels here that have different flavors: the bass, the clavinet, and then the second organ that kind of mimics what the clavinet is playing, and there's a first organ as well. But so let's talk about a couple of negatives, if you will. Negatives is minor, but let's get that out of the way because it's going to come up. Well, first of all, is that these are not resizable. So the plugin window itself is not resizable in 2022. To me, that is a little bit of a letdown because, yes, on my monitor right now, it's ideal because I adjusted the resolution of my monitor for it to be ideal. But it makes everything else overly large. This is a 43-inch monitor. Everything is super big. I'm sitting super close. It's super cinematic. That's good, but it's not always the way I like to have it for each plugin. So some plugins I'm running them very small, some of them very big, different use case scenarios. So your mileage may vary, but I would say just give us the option to customize it. Don't dictate how large we need to have it. The other thing, and that is minor, is that everything is very dark, black on this dark background here, which the regular channel strip, the channel strip 2, which is a 9000 XL console, doesn't have. It gets a bit eye fatiguing and a bit harder to see in certain situations. Very minor, very minor. One thing I noticed sometimes on some channels, the HQ, when that's enabled, the oversampling and reopening the session, it disappears and I have to click it again. It doesn't happen all the time, but I've seen it happen. First I was like, nah, I'm imagining it, but no, I'm not. It happens. It happens. So this seems to be some sort of memory issue of the plugin itself, a preset memory issue where it just loses this here. Very interesting. The other thing on the plugin is, let's go and just isolate the bass here, is the gain feature of the compressor. Probably something that is part of the original design. It's not a auto gain feature. It's basically just as you change the threshold, it cranks up the gain. Not a huge big deal. And then the other thing that I want to point out is that we no longer have the ability to zoom in here. We get the ability to scroll through this channel here. But since my monitor is not high enough, I can't represent all of this here. I would have to change the resolution of my monitor to make everything smaller, then everything would fit, and there would be no more scrolling necessary. So instead of zooming, they have a scrolling feature. So this stays fixed, the size. And whatever your monitor is giving you size-wise, this is going to adjust it. You can adjust it by scrolling through it. Not a bad idea. I would still say stick with the classics and just make, if you can't do like a fully resizable window, just make like 2 or 3 sizes, like small, medium, large, something like that. And I think that is already all the gripes that I would have. Go really quickly through the features of the plugin in case you have been waiting on this. So low pass filter, high pass filter, no problem there. Here is the routing. So you can change the routing in the sense of it's first going to the EQ, then to the filters, then to the dynamic section. And you can also start with the dynamic section. You also have an external sidechain, and you can use the EQ and the filters as a sidechain. So you can control what the compressor is listening to. I think that is a very useful feature. And when you look at the 360 software and you look at the extended mode, it tells you here at the top how your session is set up. I think, again, that prevents us from reaching for another plugin and another, setting up another compressor or whatever. You can be very, very flexible with this. You can make sure that the compressor is not listening to the lower frequencies, for example. So, and then you have the blend knob, which is also new. This should be no surprise to any SSL channel strip user, or even general channel strip user. Low frequencies, low mids, high mids, and then high frequencies here. You have a width, so this turns up the sides. You have a pan feature. You have, like I mentioned, this Jensen transformer mic preamp that tells you here how much saturation is applied. And the thing here is it's very pleasant. It's not like really hurtful after a certain point. It's one of the few where you're like, yeah, this, of course, yes, saturates a lot or too much, but it still sounds right. Here's the input trim. Here's the polarity switch. Here's the sidechain listening. And by the way, if you don't need me to tell you this, you can turn on your question mark. Here, you got a general output trim. Here's your gate and expander section. And again, as I mentioned before, we have like a fixed, maybe I didn't mention it, but I should have. Let me turn off the question mark. We have a fixed ratio here from out, nothing at all, to 2, 4, 10, and then de-ess. And then we also have a release where we have de-ess, super fast, or fast, 200, 400, 800, 1.6, and auto. Here's the threshold with not a true gain compensation, but it turns up the post compressor gain in relation to the threshold here. What do we have here? We have the meters, peak, and RMS. That is also very helpful. We have A and B if you want to make comparisons. So you can store two settings. I think that is helpful. You have an on and an off button on the plugin. And of course, this is all mirrored by the hardware. You have a solo safe. Solo safe is when you use it with buses. Solo means that it turns off all the other channel strips, whether it's a SSL2 or the 4000B in the session. So it interacts with the other plugins. So if you hit solo on the controller, if you hit solo here, you get like this console feeling, which I like quite a bit. So here's my solo button. The same thing goes for cut, mute, and so forth. And with the UC1, you can navigate very quickly with those things. So it's really a pleasure to work with this. And that alone is just the price of admission, worth the price of admission. Here, again, you have the same information here. It's just laid out on a channel by channel basis, and it mixes well with the 9000 XL. So with these SSL channel strip 2, not exactly the features are all the same. For example, here we have you can change the EQ from G to the E. This is a feature that we don't have here. This button on, let me see what that does. This does nothing so far yet. So we could have used this E section here to, for example, like gauge the mic pre or something like that. But what they're not doing is they don't try to confuse people. So this was built for the 9000K, the UC1. It's set for that, and the few things that are different are just not reflected on the controller, but they are in the software. I think that's a good compromise. All right, now let's try it on a full track. Let's try the 4000B and the channel strip 2 next to each other. First of all, we're going to use it just dry with absolutely it doing nothing. And then we're going to do it with a little bit of a bass lift and the compressor engaged sidechained with the high pass filter. So it is not reacting to the lower frequencies. We're going to have the exact same settings on the channel strip 2 as well. This is obviously on the mix bus, so we're getting the full track. It's just to give you an idea what it does. All right, let's go. You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me forever walking. You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me. You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me forever walking. You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me. One by one, one by one. 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 You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me forever walking. You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me. You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me forever walking. You and me forever walking. No, no, no. You and me. One by one, one by one. 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 So there you have it, channel strip 2, channel strip direct comparison on the mix bus. Let's go back to the track. Let's bring it in with. Oh, I can bring that down a little bit. It just has more life. It sounds more organic. And the other thing is we have a de-esser engaged here, and that's really interesting. Without. So what it does, the de-esser is a very high ratio, and so this here engages the de-esser. The release on the de-esser is a very quick release, around 30 milliseconds. And what it does, it reduces the sibilant amount in a broadband fashion. So it turns down everything. So the key is to only let it react when these sibilances or, high frequencies kind of like poke out. So if we would be at 100%, it robs quite a bit of the high end. So what we do is we blend back in the regular signal, the dry signal. So without it all. And then it's quite capable at managing these spikes, these unpleasant spikes. The other thing, of course, is that preamp setting. And this sounds like the real thing. Nice. Let's check out the drums. Yeah, nice. Nice. Whip. I really like the musicality. I want to reduce the fundamental here because it clashes with the bass itself. So while this sounds great by itself, together with the bass it becomes a problem. Let me show you. Let's get it out of the way. Pull up the bass as well. Which without it is a real mess. Let's bring in the guitar. Oh yeah. just the guitar. Without. With. With. Show you the sizzle. With saturation. Without. Solo it again. With. You know what? Let's look at the whole session and take out channel B and see how that fares. We're not completely level matched, but still I want to do it. All right, tell you what, let's try it without the 4000 and then with. And with. Anyway, so there you have it. I think there's, of course, presets. You got a ton of presets. I think they're worth checking out. I'm not a preset person, but I'm pretty sure you will find things in there that are a good jump off point. So a great plugin with a lot of color. We've been asking for color, and SSL even says in the manual, hey, I know you're going to run this. I kid you not. They say you're going to run this through Plugin Doctor, but know that Plugin Doctor doesn't always catch it the right way. This is non-linear, so different measurements will give you different outcomes, just like the hardware. And so they already know that the Plugin Doctor guys can shoot down anything. I think the plug-in doctor is very good because it prevents really from fraud happening, but it's not the answer to everything, because how does it sound, right? We still need to use our ears. I mean, we can measure the harmonics. Oh, wow, there's a lot of harmonics, but does it sound good, right? And so in terms of this plugin, I think SSL really came through. They did M1 support. They did the meter calibration change. They gave us a whole new channel strip, for crying out loud. They fixed some other bugs. The sleep function, where the jerking faders, I criticized it in one of my previous videos. The DAW, the computer would go to sleep. UC1 and the UF8 would still be alert, especially the UF8. And every so often, it would try to communicate with the DAW, and the faders would jerk every 20 minutes, whatever the interval for sleep mode was set. It would, let's say 20 minutes, and every 20 minutes the faders would jump once, right? So that's, or every hour, right? So that's 24 hours a day if you don't shut off the UF8, and there's no shut off feature. So that has been fixed in the sense of sleep mode is really now sleep mode. The faders don't do anything. There's no illumination going on either. It's really looking like it's sleeping. Touch any button on the UF8 and it'll come to life. Same thing for the UC1. So I think that is also one of the quirks that were solved, and I think there's quite a few others, but that's the main stuff. You know, you can mix and match this very well with the cleaner, more linear, maybe more modern channel strip too, and this is like the vibe. So if you have instruments that lack vibe, or you want to move your mix in a certain way, this is it. This is it. So if it's too much vibe, don't complain. You wanted that. Massivebeatzz out. Thanks for checking in. Congrats, SSL.